while leads, but Carr is strong. He catches back up to him after having to fend off the 23. He's got a great run. He's going to look underneath. The 71 does not defend. They're going to go wheel to wheel into 3 and 4. Who is going to be able to get to the line first here? Down to the inside. He's going to get pinched. They're going to come together. They're going to come together. Is Tim Downey Jr. going to get this? He runs into him. Who is going to get to the finish first? It's Massey.
That is Deterk trying to go defensive. Wanmi says, all right, that's fine. I'm going to go to the outside. You see him taking the widest line into that corner possible, just keeping momentum up around the outside, not taking no for an answer, and by sheer force of will alone, that is Wanmi Costa up into the final podium position.
Off of turn 4, Valenteus looking for the launch. He gets it right up to the wall. He's got a good lot of speed. Is this enough speed, though? As they come to the line and getting ready to cross, he goes around the outside, but it's not enough. And it is going to be Togo Hisada taking the win. Vincent has got the bit between his teeth right now. He said enough of this back and forth and allowing him through. I want the spot back, and he's going to get to the inside. Down into Sayat. Can he complete the pass? Keeping up the momentum. Kevin Norris is going to remain wheel-to-wheel down into Vert, but it's not really a too wide turn. They're going to make it one this time, and Norris gets it back around the outside. So this is the 48 car here off of turn 4. Watch this. Really has to catch it. Just trying to, I bet he didn't lift that whole way. I think his foot was on the throttle the whole time.
Probably just a little bit too far back, trying to make that run up on Evan. Evan goes to cover the grass.
Aspes blocked to the grass, side by side, 2 by 2 for the race win. Now nearly 3 wide. Hyde's taking a peek.
We've got a double here. They're going 2 wide and 2 wide. Oh, falling in. Oh no, we got contact. Cam Evan goes around. Oh, that's got to be rough. As
it's
we
not
have
over
the
yet.
local favor going in, and Espes going for the lead, but Williams trying to get in there too. Where are we going to set up here? Coming into the final corner.
Williams trying to get the run on the left side, on the right side. Aspes on the left side. A drag race. Williams takes the victory at Mount Panorama Circuit. Brandon Hawkin third, Aspes in second.
Lime Rock was already an unusual one for this car. Now we'll watch it tackle the Roval here at Homestead. The slipstream battles will probably be intense as they pick up incredible speed around the banking. But who dares take away the downforce for that part and sacrifices their speed in the infield? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch round 10 of the Lotus 79 Sunday Grand Prix Series, and you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is DJ Clark. Behind the scenes is our director, Zach Johnson, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Homestead's road course isn't exactly internationally renowned, though it has seen a couple international series take to the pavement. Let's check out our track guide to learn a little bit more about it. Welcome to Homestead Miami Speedway. South of the city of Miami and just east of Homestead, this track is definitely more well known for hosting the season finale of the NASCAR Cup Series for many years. However, sports cars have taken advantage of its infield road course for a few decades as well. 2 layouts exist, with the A course running 2.2 miles over 12 turns, and the B course clocking 2.3 miles over 10 turns. It presents some rather interesting challenges. In both cases, the first corner is a sweeping left-hander which dares the brave to enter as quick as they can, while saving the braking for turn 2 until the very last moment. It makes it very easy to go just a bit too wide and clip the grass, sending you spinning. From there, the track tightens up into a pair of slow hairpins. But then the car's horsepower gets unleashed with 2 long straights leading into more hairpins that offer great passing opportunities. From there, the B course includes a simple flight around the oval turns 3 and 4, but the A course takes you on a frightening ride through a swift set of left-handers. Then the final chicane tests who can get the better exit onto the long blast back into the first corner. It may be less famous than the oval itself, but this road course has hosted IMSA, Grand Am, and the FIA GT Championship in its short history. Since 1995, it's been a playground for South Florida's road racing fans, and thanks to iRacing, many more can enjoy this Roval's challenges. This is going to be an interesting one, no doubt, DJ. Here early in the morning in Miami, what are we expecting these Lotus 79s to behave like on this track?
Well, they're going to be a little bit crazy, Joe. This is going to be a pretty big draft battle track, like you said, and setup is going to be key. I anticipate the majority of passing taking place going down into turn 1, that sweeping left-hander, and then down into turn 2 as well, going through the infield. From there on out, it's pretty much follow the leader, and from once you leave the infield out of turn 8, then it's just going to be tuck up behind and pray a little bit as these cars get up to speed and get going. But one way or the other, it's going to be one heck of a battle.
I'm looking forward to it, if I'm honest. But let's take a look at the championship order, because that has been a fascinating back and forth with a couple major players swapping the points lead. And up at the top of them, it is Severi Seppa with Marco Kayla only 13 points behind. Now, he wasn't here last week, and I'm double checking to see if he is here today, and it looks like he is not once again. So this could help Seppa greatly, especially since there are some drop weeks that Kayla can drop, but it puts him under the gun. Partanen has been boosting forward with a couple of wins lately and has become a very fast driver. Juanmi Costa and Timothy Reed round out your top 5, all within a win of that top spot. What about the team's championship, DJ?
Well, in that team's championship, Equip Renault Elf is starting to stretch a little bit of an advantage. Only about 9 points, though, over March Grand Prix team, with Fittipaldi Automotive 21 points back of that battle. Tiro Racing Team, well, they're on their own separate battle with Ragno Aero's Beta Racing Team sitting back only 3 points back of them. So a pretty close battle there for first and fourth.
Indeed. And, well, today's race is going to be pretty typical fare, except for the track itself. It's 30 laps that they're going to be running, and it's an open setup series. Drivers, I just saw some chatter, have not raced here, they think, since 2009 on iRacing. On iRacing itself, that's what I'm talking about here. It's an incredible length of time since they last ran here. It's open setup, as I mentioned, so that, of course, will be important because not as many drivers will be as familiar as how to set up the car here, and they have no spare car if they get any sort of damage, which is definitely possible on a Roval where the walls are close for a good chunk of it. Drive-through penalty at 17 incidents, disqualification at 25 incidents, and we're in the midst of that qualifying session now as the cars are just about ready to finish their first flying lap. And I think Juanmi Costa going to be among our first as we watch Severi Seppa here heading into the oval portion. Looks like Costa puts down a time of a 1:06.4. That's what everybody is going to be trying to beat. Konecki is not able to get past him. Seppa puts one down, and that's good enough for pole by 18 thousandths of a second.
It looks like it's going to be very, very close as these times start to trickle in here. Timothy Reed up into third, about 0.3 of a second off there. It looks like that we are seeing Konecki not... He's coming down pit lane, as is Ove Trangray. Dylan Freckleton up into sixth for so good run there for him. Still waiting for times for part of the field.
As you can see from the lighting, when I said early in the morning, I mean early in the morning. It's 7:30 a.m. virtual standard time here in the middle of April at Miami. So I don't know why they elected to have it so early, but it gives us some really beautiful shots here in the warm glow. And Partanen just starts his first flyer now as we watch Juanmi Costa come around for his second time lap. First one was good enough for the front row. Second one goes about 0.2 quicker, 1:06.2. What will Seppa have? Oh, Seppa is in pit lane, as you mentioned, so he is not going to be able to respond. So Costa provisionally on the top spot. Can anybody respond to that?
I'm not sure if they're going to be able to. At least I haven't seen anything. Some of the usual suspects, Partonen, Tolanen, and DeTurk, still waiting for times from them. Barry West comes into 17th. Ivan Jojo comes into 10th. Dylan Freckleton bumps his way up into P3. Great run there for Dylan.
And it looks like Partonen is just coming onto the oval now. They empty onto the back stretch, and it's progressive banking here. That is going to be fascinating to watch as well. So the bottom line might not be the way to go the entire time. You could make some moves trying to use that extra shot off the high side. And first lap, a 106.528. Good enough for third for Partonen. Well, for those who want a close fight at the top, that's a good sign that he could maybe get one over Costa.
Could indeed. And now going down into this little Mickey Mouse section, there's actually a little bit of elevation change there, Joe, as you dive down into that little right-hander. I quite like it. It's an interesting corner. And then you come back here for this long double apex right-hander that pretty much ends up being in these machines. It's almost one continuous corner. And that then leads back onto the hairpins.
Tolanen finally puts a lap down. It's a 106.586. He'll head on to the second row with his fellow Finn Partonen. And let's see who else is ready to complete their second lap. I'm looking through. Michael DeTurk just getting ready to do his first one. And he has actually come over from the Lotus 49 as well that he raced yesterday. And he did very well with that one, with a podium. He's going to put a 106.9 on, which is good enough for ninth.
So he's going to have a little bit of work to do to get up there for DeTurk, but Partonen able to stay in that second place position, about a 10th off Costa right now. So relatively close at the top, especially between those top three. Look at that, Joe, only about a 10th of a second. So that's going to be very, very close as we now watch Jukka Tolanen and seeing what he can do on his next lap.
Yeah, Tolanen is going to try and see if he can get himself on that front row. Maybe he could get himself the pole position. He's often good in these low downforce tracks. No, he goes slower that time, so it's not going to happen for him. And I see Michael DeTurk is able to take his second time, and he's going to be the last driver to set a time here in qualifying.
Yes, he is. So let's see what Michael can do with that last time.
Out of the oval portion, he holds it all the way down to the bottom. A 106.6, an improvement by 0.3 of a second. Good enough for sixth place. And that'll be the outside of row 3 for him. But single split this time, which is interesting. We'll see if that gives us a good race out there, or if the wide variety in skills will cause a little bit of consternation amongst the drivers, especially at a track that we don't see as often. And we've got about a minute left, but everybody's done, so let's go through that starting order. Juanmi Costa on the pole today with Pauli Partonen, winner of the last two races, starting from second. Severi Seppa will be in third as Jukka Tolanen is fourth. And it's Dylan Freckleton with a nice qualifying. Not someone we usually see this high up. Starting from fifth, Michael DeTurk in P6 and Timothy Reed in seventh. Peter Koneski will be in P8. It's Ove Trangrade starting ninth today, and Christophe Dubois rounds out your top 10.
Paul Schmallenberg will be lining up in 11th, followed by Barry West and Keith Herner. Ivan Jojo will be 14th, followed by Cristiano Carani in 15th. Javier Mosquera will line up outside of him in 16th, with Tim Wilkinson in 17th and Francisco Javier Lopez in 18th. John Tackerberry will be 19th, followed by Joshua Justice in 20th.
David Phillips will start in 21st with Gunter Sisti in 22nd. Jean-Francois Boscus will be in at 23rd. Jens Weber was the last one to set a time in 24th, and of our 25 starters, only Bill Kraus was not able to set a time. I do see him in the session, so we're expecting him to line up with the field. Standing start here on the front row. Can't imagine they see that all that often here at Miami. Of course, they will see that soon next year, hopefully, with F1 coming downtown, but not here at the Roval as the rest of them grid up. It is, as you would imagine, relatively cool out on the track, but decently high winds, not super high, just at 10 miles an hour that they're running right now. But 76 Fahrenheit is going to leave them a bit to try and get the tires warmed up. We did see at Lime Rock Park, it took a minute for them to get them up to speed there. A little bit longer of a lap this time, and at least one long extended corner that will probably raise the tire temperatures quite quickly.
Yeah, indeed it will, but be careful. It may take a couple of laps to be able to run down on a low line a little bit more continuously around that high side, Joe, as it will scruff the tires a little bit more. You need a little bit more grip because of that progressive banking, as you mentioned.
Well, we'll see who's watched out for that, who's picked up that little tidbit in their practice, as we're just waiting on Tolanen and Barry West to put themselves out on the grid here today. It's round 10. We're coming down to it. We're seeing the drop weeks finally start to come into play. And will we see Seppa finally return to the top spot as the engines start to rev? The lights come up and the green flag is out. Costa is off well. A very poor start for someone back there. I think that is Michael de Turk. He is plunging down the order, and we head into the first two turns right away. It looks like pretty single file for the front of the field, but in the back, they're still side by side.
They are indeed. Juanmi Costa able to get a good getaway out there and hold on to that lead. Very close quarters battling as they work their ways down through 3 and 4 and up that little hill, coming back down the long straightaway now.
Oh, and Michael de Turk is involved in a wreck. Is that Seppa as well? No, it's
I believe
Keith
it's Trang, and Trangrade as well. Looks like he's got damage and is just towed, Joe.
I don't know how that happened. It was coming out of 4 and 5 in through the infield, and suddenly I saw cars flipping on their lids. We'll try and get a replay a little bit later, but here we go. We're going to get a look at the slipstream as they come onto the backstretch. Costa has a gap of about 0.4 of a second over Partanen. He's going to be feeling the effects here as they start to pick up the pace onto the oval. Seppa into third after that start. He's been followed by Jukka Tolanen crossing the line. Doesn't look like Partanen's got enough to try and attack Costa that time.
No, not quite enough, but they start to bunch together a little bit under braking. There in the back, it looked like Dylan Freckleton had a bit of an off going down into turn 1 and lost several positions as a result of it. He's still falling down through the order.
Yeah, he's just dipped a wheel into the grass and unfortunately spun it. Easy to do in that very tricky braking down into turn 2. But as you can see, our leaders are nose to tail. Costa leads Partanen, Seppa, and Tolanen. Then we finally get our first break. It's Timothy Reed in 5th place back there.
Yes, indeed, and you can see how close these top 4 really are running. That's a good run there for Severi Seppa coming out of turn 8. He's going to want to try to tuck up behind here, follow directly in the tire tracks of Paulie Partanen. My guess is he's not going to want to try to jump out quite yet. As I said, you see these guys not completely diving down onto that low line all the way. You want to wait a little bit until the tires are fully up to temperature before you go down and do that.
Well, none of them are going to change position once again, but Freckleton looks like he might, as he's going to overtake Cristiano in the 15. No, he won't. They're on screen. Oh, and another issue out of turn 2. Who lost it this time? I think that was Reed.
Yes, it was. Lots of drivers having problems back in that that first couple of corner section, Joe, and it's not surprising. You really have to flick the car to the left and then get on the brakes. Very, very easy to lock up those front tires and run wide.
I think we've got time to go check out the replay here on the opening incident. And I know de Turk was involved. We mentioned Trangrade and Herner. Let's see here. Oh, somebody. Who was that did a 360 there?
I want to say that was Wilkinson, potentially. It was one of the lower down cars, Joe. Looks like they just got onto the grass, spun it.
It was de Turk.
Oh, it was de Turk. It was Michael de Turk, and I think that may have been a little bit of ghost contact that kicked everything off, with Ove Trangerade just kind of left with nowhere to go.
Well, the Turk did a beautiful pirouette, but everybody behind were the ones that suffered the consequences, unfortunately, with Herner winding up on his lid and severe damage for Ove Trangrade. And the Turk is actually currently in 22nd place, so he was able to continue on. I think he must have had other issues, though, because he didn't lose all that many positions from his little spin. We'll try and investigate that a little bit later. In the meantime, I think Juanmi Costa has finally got his legs under him here at this track because he's pulled about a second off of Partanen. So our leader stretching away. There you can see on screen just how much distance he's put between himself and second and third.
Yeah, really starting to pull away. Meanwhile, Sebring Seppa not letting Paulie Partanen out of his sights quite yet. Just holding on close. Juan Micosa sitting the fastest lap of the race. Little bit of a duck to the inside there into turns 1 and 2 for Sebring Seppa. I think he's starting to just get that probing attack ready. Starting to see where Paulie Partanen may be a little bit slower through those first couple of passing zones.
I want to correct myself a little bit. Partanen, not the winner of the last 2 races, but the winner of the last 2 he attended. That was Lime Rock in the Hungaroring. Interlagos, the one before Lime Rock, was won by Kayla, who's not here today. And down onto the hairpin that leads back onto the oval. No attack from Seppa this time, but he's still close enough. He could try and get ahead. And again, this is going to be important for Seppa because as we start to count the drop weeks, he will want to try and put some distance between himself and Marco Kayla, who's been his main rival for much of the season. And now it seems that Partanen has found quite a bit of speed in the last few races, so he could be a serious threat.
He very well could indeed, but we can never discount on a race-to-race basis just the outright pace of Sebring Seppa. And so Paulie's going to definitely have to be looking out of his rear-view mirrors here for that number 1 as Seppa continues to hunt here. I love the way he's not really going too aggressive. He's not trying to make too crazy of a move quite yet. There's still a lot of time left to go in this race, but Sebring knows just how to keep applying that pressure and make sure that Paulie knows that that yellow number 1 is still there.
If I'm honest, I'm a bit surprised at how little we've seen the slipstream allow passes. I thought they'd be easy overtakes around the oval portion of this track, and they're off of the hairpin of 8 and back onto the oval portion. We'll get a good sense of it from riding on board with Seppa here. Starts it at about 0.4 of a second. He is closing in a little bit, but it's not huge chunks. It's now under 0.4. And, well, it's going back up here, actually.
Well, I wonder there for Sebring then if he's maybe running a little bit more of a heavy downforce setup. Oh, that's Keith Herner directly ahead of them. This could cause a little bit of issue. Keith just parks that car off to the apex there, so all of your leaders able to get through nice and easy. Good heads up there from Keith.
Yeah, Keith has come back to the track after taking some repairs, so he's just trying to stay out of the way of the battle for the lead. So nicely done. Just picked that little pocket out of turn 3 to be able to hide himself. We still have 23 cars racing. John Tackerbury has retired, and then Ove Trangrade recently parked it himself. So still plenty of cars out there. A few issues here and there, but so far everybody's managing the unfamiliarity, quite well.
Yeah, indeed they are, and this continues to be our closest battle on track, but these two starting to lose a little bit of touch with Juanmi Costa in front of them, as well as dropping just a little bit behind them is Jukka Tolvanen. I wonder if Sebring Seppa is going to recognize that that gap to Juanmi Costa is pulling out a little bit more. Oh, that's an off for Costa! Costa has a big off through turn 1. He now slots in right into the middle of this battle.
That's back to second place, so only 1 position down, but Partanen going to be loving the open air in front of himself now. But can he pull away with it is the question. This is about the closest we've seen plenty of them up to this point. And could that closeness allow the slipstream to finally have a bigger effect? So the 3 car takes it down into turn 8 as we see the sun start to rise ever higher and get a little bit more of its light on the track surface itself. coming down onto the back stretch. Great exit by the 3 car. The 5 doesn't quite look close enough. Is his outright speed going to allow him to close that gap?
Well, he's got about 3 or 4 miles an hour difference on the banked oval section of this track, it looks like, as they close in. I think here that Juan Costa may be a little bit more trimmed out, or maybe just a little bit more aggressive than we've seen here. Oh, there goes Partonen!
First Costa, now Partonen, but Partonen suffers worse from his off. He drops 3 places instead of just 1. That turn 2 is mighty tricky, and I know from experience, I have driven this circuit before. It's already catching out multiple drivers today.
It certainly is, and as I said, Joe, one of the things that makes it so difficult is just how you have to approach it for the braking zone. You're coming in at top speed. Oh, that's a little bit of a move by Sebring Seppa. He has had enough waiting around. He is starting to put pressure on Juan Costa.
I think Costa made a little bit of an error out of turn 7, and Seppa looks great on the gas as he comes out of turn 8. He is only 2/10 behind. This should have a much better effect for him as they swing up high, trying to take that banking down, using the momentum as they ride down the hill all the way to the bottom. A little bit of a bobble maybe touching the apron there for Juan Costa, but Seppa still not able to close in. Did he put too much wing on it?
I think he did, Joe. That's the sense I'm getting. He is a little bit faster.
And now Seppa! Now Seppa has spun it. 3 of our top 4 have had spins in 3 consecutive laps down at turn 2.
Okay, Jukka Tolinen now is praying to everything that he holds dear that he is not going to continue that trend, because he rides around in 3rd right now, and he's the only one in the top 4 leading pack that hasn't lost it yet.
And Partonen managed to sneak by him as he had to check up so he didn't run into Seppa. Severy falls to 5th. Peter Konietzki there in the 10 car slips into 4th, but he's still a ways back. You can see the distance there on your screen as they come through turn 8 and onto the backstretch once again. Well, this worked out perfect for Costa. He was probably kicking himself after making that initial mistake, but the gap is back, if not better, than what it used to be before.
Yeah, indeed. So he is just going to be kind of riding high here, a little bit happy that he is able to avoid anything. And with, frankly, a little bit more of what I suspect to be a trimmed out car for Juan Costa, this should be relatively smooth sailing for our leader unless something else unexpected happens.
Tolinen acts as the combo breaker. He does not spin this time through. And he didn't exactly take it easy either. So I think well done to the 4, although he's starting to lose a little bit on Pauli Partonen in front of him. So down into turn 6 they go. One of the many hairpins in this infield track. And this is spread apart our top group. I'm checking back down to see if any of our other fights are coming together. I do see Timothy Reed and Christophe Dubois fighting for 6th place here. That's Reed in the number 2. He's another one that's had an off at some point through turn 2 in today's race, and he might be on a bit of a recovery. He did qualify in 7th place, so he's actually up 1 from where he began.
Yes, he is, and Dubois up 3, but Dubois, wow, really dropping back on that banked section of the track. Just looks absolutely nowhere. Very, very slow there, it looks like, for that number 9 machine.
If we're talking positions gained, though, our biggest mover is Jean-Francois Boscus, who has gone from 23rd to 12th here today. So very well done to the 11 car as he's taken advantage of a few drivers having some offs and some troubles out there and is holding his own. He's actually in the middle of a few right now. That's Cristiano Coriani in front of him, Barry West in there as well. And then they're also being chased by Mosquera.
Yeah, so a couple little battles starting to maybe look like they could be developing. The 15 there, working their way around to the best they can as we continue to watch here, waiting for some of these battles to erupt. Now, we always do talk about how these cars tend to get a little bit lighter, a little bit looser, a little bit...
Well, commentator's curse. That was Boscus we just saw spinning in turn 8. He's going to lose a couple spots, down to 13th, so not a major loss. He'll get rolling once again.
Will indeed, and I was just saying that we tend to see how these cars get a little bit lighter and looser as the race goes along, so we may be waiting for that to come in here. That could play into effect, especially when you're driving on the bank sections of these tracks. Like the oval portion here, the cars can feel a little bit sluggish even on the big wide oval, and after about, I would say, 20 laps in, these things will feel real lively, and you may see a little bit more speed being brought out by these drivers.
It's more speed, but it's already proven difficult down into that first braking zone. I wonder if we'll see more offs there as well as they dance around trying to get slowed up into that corner. We're actually already just about halfway through today's event, so things have been clicking off quite quickly. That was a close one there coming off of the hairpin. That is Barry West chased by Coriani with about 0.4 of a second between them. This is for 10th spot.
Yeah, and that is Coriani trying to close in about 0.4 of a second behind. You can see him get a little bit closer on the long run going down into turn one, kicking up some dust. Coriani really late on the binders there as they go through turns 1 and 2, starting to poke his nose a little bit on West. West not really doing too much defense, just driving his own lines here.
Yeah, credit to him and not being swayed by that car showing up in his mirrors at this point, as we got another off in turn 2. Who is this? It's Wilkinson, I think. Yeah, that's Wilkinson returning to the track in the number 17. He'll fall to P17 after starting this lap in 15th, so just about 2 positions lost for him as well. Oh, and looks like a bit of a pass there as Coriani finally gets over West through turn 8, but now West gets to fight back around the oval. He is going to stay up to the high side. Cristiano down low, and perfect example right here. Look at this. Even though he's going a longer distance, look at the extra speed that West is able to pull, and he's right back by. Nope, he's not. He breaks early.
Oh, I think Barry just a little bit timid there going through 1 and 2. Didn't want to fully commit on that. As that, you're just, as you said, carrying so much speed around the outside. And we've seen so many drivers lose it through that section of the track. Wanted to be a little bit timid and bring the car home just in Barry's style that we've seen him do many a time.
Absolutely. And not a bad qualifying for him today in 12th position. And currently sitting in 11th. So still up by 1 from where he began this thing. As all that was happening, I was keeping half an eye on Tolinen and Partanen because they've been pretty close for some time. There you see them on track here. That's Partanen in the blue and white 3, and the 4 orange and white is Tolinen giving chase. Looks pretty good here in the slower sections. Once they start to pick up speed, looks like Tolinen is having trouble staying close.
Yeah, I think that may be a little bit of a setup difference there between the two. A lot of these guys just trying to run as close as they can and not really being able to fully execute the moves like we saw from Barry West. It is a very different skill to drive these Lotus 79s on an oval, and that's ostensibly what the third sector of this track is. It is like driving an oval. And Joe, one of the other interesting things that we may start to see here a little bit is you can actually pick up a little bit of a side draft when you are running at super high speeds in these Lotus 79s. They're getting up to 180, 190 miles an hour coming through this banked section. If you're able to pull up alongside, you can get that side draft almost like you're racing a stock car around here.
The question is, who has the experience out there to be aware of that? As I'm not sure how many of these drivers do dip over onto the oval side. And once again, man, Tolinen looks so good coming into the section as we hop away. This is a little bit farther down. Looks like Dylan Freckleton gonna take another one, as that is for 8th place, getting past Schmallenberg.
Yeah, not too much defense there from Schmallenberg. I think he kind of read the writing on the wall on that one and recognized what was going to happen. Ooh, Severi Seppa, though, is getting pretty close to Peter Konieczki. That was set up a little bit by Gunter Sisti there, who is a lapped car down in 21st position. I think that got Konieczki a little bit offline. Oh, a little bit of weaving there from Konieczki.
Oh, so Seppa is going to pull up on him anyways. Looks pretty good in a straight line up against the 10 car, and he pokes his nose to the inside. Oh, he's just about brave enough to take it wheel to wheel into this corner. Who is better on the binders? It looks like Seppa has it.
Does indeed. Some good outbraking there from Severi Seppa. He'll now set his eyes about 3.5 seconds up the road to Jukka Tolvanen. And that battle would continued to follow between himself and Paulie Partanen. Looks like Konieczki's going to try to hold on the best that he can, but I genuinely think that Sebring here is just running a little bit more downforce. Whoa, but getting a little bit wiggly there coming through that hairpin.
He is wheeling this car. He wants to get up into a better position. He knows he can't really afford to allow Partanen to keep chipping away at his points lead. After this, there's only going to be 2 more rounds. So any major errors that he has in the upcoming races will certainly be incredibly painful for him. I think Wilkinson just got by Justice. Don't need to go to that, but that was for 16th place. Also, another note that De Turk has climbed his way up to 15th by now. Not sure if there's many more cars he'll be able to overtake in these final 12 laps. Down into turns 2 and 3. Tolvanen currently about 3.1 seconds ahead of Seppa. Last lap for Tolvanen, a 107.3, Seppa a 107.8. So that was with a battle, though, so Seppa might have better pace this time by. We'll keep an eye on that.
Yeah, we will indeed. I'm looking at the first 2 sectors here, though, and it does look like that Severi was able to gain about 3/10 over Jukka Tolvanen, so definitely coming on close behind. Oh, that looks like a little bit of a wide run from Peter Konieczki there as he chases in behind Severi Seppa. Looks like he is losing a little bit of pace as he tries to claw that position back.
Yeah, he had 2 wheels off in the grass coming out of 7, and that cost him. Of course, I'm sure he would have loved to have ride the coattails of Severi all the way up to Tolvanen. They've been lapping a number of cars already with this single split. Not too shocking there. This time by for Tolvanen, 107 flat. Seppa, 106.9. And that is with Tolvanen pulling the slipstream of Partanen ahead of him. So Severi not having the same help. He does look quick.
Does indeed. Bill Krause, a lapped car in the way right now. So that could cause a little bit of a hiccup there. But, yeah, Severi Seppa definitely coming on strong here, hoping to pull up to this battle. There you can see that lap comparison.
It's not over yet, that is for sure. This podium could easily change around, but up at the front of it all, Juan Costa, now that he has gotten that gap from the period where we saw a lot of offs in turn 2, it's hung at around 2 to 3 seconds. It's about 3.5 currently. You see him on screen there, getting ready to put a lap on David Phillips, who's just going to stay off to the high side. The Michigan driver going to allow Costa through with ease as they cross the start-finish line once again here with now only 10 laps to go.
These laps absolutely flying by around here as Juan Costa just continues to be the class of the field. And this battle continues to rage on. It seems like these two have been absolutely inseparable since the drop of the green flag. Paulie Partanen and Jukka Tolvanen just continuing to duke it out. A little bit of, I think, an early move there over to what would be the normal racing line, that braking line for Paulie Partanen, and maybe just trying to break a little bit of the draft from Jukka Tolvanen.
Yeah, I wonder if he's starting to feel the pressure a little bit, if he wants to try and break away to keep himself out of reach in these last few laps as they swing back onto the oval. He's going to get some help from David Phillips just in front of him. There you see him in the STP liveried car, kind of taking a IndyCar inspiration on his paint scheme. staying down low. One gets by, and Tolinen not really interrupted, but he gets through as well. No change as they plunge into turn 2 once again.
Yeah, and Juan Mikosa there setting the fastest lap of the race for good measure, pulling that gap up to about 4 seconds between himself and Paulie Partonen. So really just distancing himself as much as possible from this battle. There is the wounded machine up ahead of them, so that'll be a little bit more traffic for them to deal with.
Yeah, that's Keith Herner that they are approaching. He's running last on the field and nowhere near anybody at this point. He's 2 laps down to Jens Weber, who is the next car up. So I imagine Keith is just here, as they say, to get some safety rating.
Yeah, just pick up that, and you know, for a lot of these guys, it is just the enjoyment of driving. Even if you
Konecki just had an off out of turn 8. The 10 car spun the wheels up, and I think he lost a spot to Timothy Reed because of it. And Dubois just now.
Yes, he did. Yeah, he spun the wheels up, got off into the grass. There goes Reed on by right now through that oval. He's going to tuck in behind. See if there can be a little bit of a fight here. This may not be over as they sweep through 1.
Doesn't want to lose 2. Oh, a little bit of a touch from behind. Can he hold on to it? No, he's off the course. And there goes Christophe Dubois. That was some ghost contact, unfortunately, between them. It didn't look like they physically touched from my end. And that's a bit sad to see, because Peter already had his problem in this same lap. And now another one due to car contact sends him all the way down to 8th.
Yeah, indeed. And for Peter Konecki, that contact really occurred before the braking zone. He almost was able to gather that car back under him. But because of how sort of dancy these Lotuses are, it can be so very tricky. You could be, frankly, holding on to a slide for 5-10 seconds when you're coming around one of these corners. So Peter just trying to hold on to that the best that he could. Now he rides around in 8th. Freckleton just ahead of him. Little bit left to go. He's got that gap under a second here, hovering at about 7/10.
Alrighty, so as we come back to the battle for second place, Tolinen been stuck behind Paulie Partonen for some time. While it might not be a win based on how things are looking right now, Partonen getting another second place will continue to help him close in on Seppa. And the pole position, which is 2 bonus points, went to Juan Mikosa. So he is going to get what looks like at least a score of 58. Can he get a perfect score of 60? Who's got that fastest lap? Looks like he does.
Yes, indeed. So Juan could be walking away with this feeling pretty proud. Just got to continue going along here. But as we've seen, very, very easy to pick up that fastest lap over the course of the final laps, because these cars do get faster with that lower fuel load. And new fastest lap, just to make sure, in case we had any doubt. Costa, yeah, he came in at 324 points. Compare that to Seppa at 371. So yeah, it's not just Partonen and Kayla that Sebring needs to worry about, but it seems like he's got a target on his back for multiple other drivers. And onto the front stretch, Freckleton on the side of Konecki, but Peter is going to be able to get by him. That'll snatch up 7th place. Will indeed. Just a nice sweep around the outside there. Pretty textbook for Peter Konecki. That number 10 machine not looking like it's got too much damage, and he'll be able to keep on going forward here.
Yeah, thankfully his incidents didn't really involve that hard of contact or any sort of run-ins with the walls. So it's all just a bit of a bruised ego and trying to make up whatever time he can. But he's got almost 10 seconds up to Dubois, so not sure that he'll be able to catch up to at least 6th place. And another fastest lap for Juan Mikosa up at the top of the board. So the 5 is really putting his foot down, and the timing tower shows it. You can see it's up to 5 seconds now.
Yeah, agreed, Joe. He is just putting in the fastest laps here, and I'm not even sure he's pushing that hard. He is just driving It's almost like a little Sunday drive out here for Wanmi, just putting in the times and being able to pull away.
So that leaves Partonen and Tolanen to try and fight for the scraps. Those two are still split by only 0.3 of a second. There they are there. Tolanen in the orange, Partonen in the blue. Coming up around turn 8. Well, if we do come back here, which I'm not sure if we will based on attendance that we're seeing today. One thing I am definitely making a note of is that the slipstream is not as big as we thought, but Tolanen's got one of the best runs we've seen from him yet, and this could be the overtake he's been looking for. He pulls up on him, staying to the inside. Partonen stays down low as they come towards the braking into 1 and 2. A little bit of a back off from Tolanen, even though he's good on the binders. Oh, but he shakes him off the racing line and pulls the over-under, and he gets past Partonen.
Great patience and setup move there from Jukka Tolanen to be able to get that move done. He's been working on that one for the entire race, Joe.
I'd love to see a replay on board Jukka for that one. That was just beautiful. I'm not sure if he intended it to wind up that way, but when the opportunity presented himself, he was quick to grab it and start running. And that's got him into second place. So they come now through turn 8 and onto the oval. Yeah, a little bit too far back for Partonen right now, so I don't think we're going to see a fight back. Wonder if we could get a second look at that one, because that was just fantastic stuff.
It was exactly that kind of setup that you can see happen out of these Lotus 79s. Just a truly perfect run. Able to very patiently get it to go and force Partonen to go a little bit wide through that section right here that they now go through.
Ooh, we had 3 cars in a wreck. Not sure if we want to go to it or not. Justice, Lopez, and it looks like Phillips kind of all tangled in a very unfortunate way. Starts with Josh Justice losing control of the car through turn 7, spins in front of Phillips, and then poor Lopez was kind of coming upon it with nowhere to go. You can see at least 1 car down to pit lane because of that. That is Josh Justice getting some repairs.
Yeah, and unfortunately, this late in the race, that is going to be a little tricky. But let's go back and check out that path as we ride on board now with Jukka Tolanen. Setting up, as you said, Paulie Partonen diving down to the inside, Tolanen up to the outside.
He gives away a little bit there. Almost looked like he maybe lifted a little early to give himself some breathing space, and he saw that car swing off, said, "Thank you very much. That spot is mine." That'll help the Arrows team that Jukka races for try and move up out of that 5th spot with a nice 2nd place.
Yeah, they'll be happy with that, and he's been able to pull away just a little bit on that last lap, starting to get about a couple of tenths of a second there per lap as he pulls away from his rival of Paulie Partonen. So definitely looks like there that Jukka Tolanen being held up a little bit by Paulie over the course of the previous 29 laps around this circuit.
All right, we're down to 2 to go, and in fact, Costa is going to take the white flag next time by. Battle for P2's been our best fight, but even that is starting to separate now that Tolanen's got the clear air. So, Wanmi Costa, let me double check. Has he won yet this season? No, he has not. And I know he's been close. He's been hovering around. He's been getting podiums here and there. As the white flag waves past the start-finish line. The number 5 is about to finally put himself on the top step. It's a little bit of a slide there through turn 2. Hope he doesn't lose it here in this last one. You talked about how loose these cars get by the end of the stint.
Yeah, and especially coming down in a very fast braking zone like that, he's got to be careful. But from here on out, he's only got to work through a couple more corners. Oh, looks like Timothy Reed's had it off. That's going to allow for Christophe Dubois to get on by and jump his way into the top 5.
Up from 10th. Not a bad day for the 9 car, if you can just hold on to this. But ahead of both of them, Wanmi Costa is still sliding around a whole lot from what I'm seeing. Down through 8, that car just kind of skidding sideways through there. But now On to the oval. It is basically foot to the floor all the way to the checkered flag for this number 5 machine. Put it on pole. Made a little bit of a mistake, but he recovered, and he is going to take his first win of the season here in the Lotus 79 Sunday Grand Prix Series.
A most excellent run for Juan Costa, qualifying on pole and taking the perfect score here today. Behind him, Tolan, and a little bit of an off there in the back.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think that was a lapped car having an issue with Ronnie. Yeah, it was Kraus, who unfortunately had some miscommunication. And those two are going to have to limp home from here. I think that gave a spot to Mosquera and Barry West because of that.
Yes, indeed it did. And by the way, Joe, just at the line, I saw Severi Seppa come in and deny Juan Costa the fastest lap of the race there. So Costa not going to be able to walk away with the perfect score.
Ah, Seppa, I have a feeling, probably a bit intentional, trying to make as good as he can, not able to be on the podium, as this is going to be a race to the finish, but it looks like the damage on Cristiano will not let him have it, as Boscus winds up in 13th in the end, up 10 positions from where he started. And that is going to take us to a quick break. We'll come back with the unofficial results as well as driver interviews, so stick around.
This is iRacing, the world's premier online racing game. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat to experience today's newest form of competitive motorsport, virtual racing, all from your home PC. Race virtually in indoor series from NASCAR, IndyCar, IMSA, the World of Outlaws, Aussie Supercars and more. Take on legendary circuits like Daytona, Silverstone and the Nürburgring. Join iRacing's global online racing community and get on track today at iRacing.com.
Welcome back to Homestead Miami Speedway. And no, we did not just witness a NASCAR race. We watched the Lotus 79 Sunday Grand Prix Series do round 10 with Juan Costa taking his first win of the season. It was Jukka Tolinen who finished second behind him. A late pass on Partanen, just juking past him into turn 2, gave him that spot. Partanen, though, collecting more valuable points in his recent spate of podiums, as Severi Seppa off the podium today, finishing 4th. It was Timothy Reed in P5, with Christophe Dubois getting up to 6th from his 10th place starting spot. Peter Koneski will finish 7th, as Dylan Freckleton was P8. Schmallenberg finished 9th, and Mosquera up 6 positions to finish 10th.
Barry West putting in a solid day to come home in 11th, followed by Ivan Jojo, with our biggest mover on the day being Jean-Francois Boscus in 13th. Cristiano Carani was 14th, followed by Michael de Turk, the last driver to finish on the lead lap in 15th. Tim Wilkinson finished behind him with Bill Krause and Dave Phillips in 18th, Gunther Sisti in 19th, and Jens Weber rounds out your top 20.
3 laps down, it was Josh Justice with Lopez, 4 laps down in 22nd. Then from there, it was DNFs for the rest of the drivers today. But it was the second place for Jukka Tolinen in that P2. Let's see if we can chat with him here about that race, because it was certainly fun to watch from our perspective. Jukka, an unusual track out there today, and it certainly caught a few drivers out, but you managed to overtake a number of them along the way to get yourself a podium. How did it feel?
It feels great, actually. I didn't really like the track too much. I think the layout is really boring to hot laps, so didn't practice that much. And also there was quite few official races this week. The participation was lower than usually, so yeah, I'm happy with it. Schwalmi was too fast today, regardless of the little accident he had in T1, T2, but yeah, it really worked out today. I'm happy with it.
Yeah, we were watching that turn one, turn two combination because not only Wanmi had an off there, but Pauli Partanen had an off, Seppa had an off. After those three all went off in three successive laps, were you a little bit more cautious into there the next time through?
Well, that was quite usual place to make mistakes during the week. So I think pretty much everyone had their accidents there in the official races. So yeah, I had a little bit more downforce than the other top drivers, I think, and I just wanted to make sure I'm not doing that. So yeah, I was kind of playing it safe and trying to take every position I can, since I knew I wasn't the fastest driver, but tried to keep it on the track. So yeah, it was good tactic today.
It seemed like it. Now, if this track was a bit boring for you, I got some good news, I guess. The next one, you're not going to be able to relax because we head off to Sebring, and you've been getting some good finishes as of late. How do you feel that you're going to do there?
Well, I have done like one endurance race in Sebring, so it's not very familiar to me, but I'm waiting it. Let's see. I hope it fits me better than this track. So yeah.
Well, we'll keep an eye out for you. Congratulations on a podium. Is there anybody you want to thank for today's finish?
You guys, as always, CTC guys, and once again, Pauli for practicing with me and giving tips. So yeah, thanks.
That was Jukka Tolan and the Finn taking another podium, as behind him, Barry West managed to go up one spot. DJ has caught up with him.
I have indeed, Barry. A pretty solid day out there for you on a pretty unusual track for you guys.
Yeah, I don't usually mind ovals. I mean, Indianapolis is all right, but I hate this one. The braking points for the hairpin get me, and I just lose so much time in those slow corners. We got the infield off all right, but I just not done much practice at all this week, and I'll take a P11 because there was so many incidents, and it's so slippy. Even the grass hasn't got any grip.
Well, how do you go into running a race like this that feels so very different than anything you guys have run before? Obviously, this being a throwback to your original season. Yeah, I mean, this just being such sort of a counterintuitive track, does it change your practice style?
Yeah, obviously, if you don't enjoy driving the track, you don't tend to do so much practice. But funny, last week I just turned up without any practice at all and did really well. So I did a little bit of practice this week. So perhaps the trick is not to do any practice at all. But I just find the braking really difficult on this track because you have to brake another 50 feet before you think you should, and then if you're still on the brakes. When you want to turn in, I had trouble rotating the car. The fast guys, they were really fast. They could feel the car, what the car was doing, but I just didn't have any feel for the car on this type of surface. So it was, I find it really difficult. I mean, I didn't have a spin. That's the main thing. I just, probably brake too early, but just didn't risk coming off. In fact, I came off going into the pits at the end of the race. I had one spin. But yeah, it's so difficult. I mean, I don't know what the texture is on this track, but it is just so slippy. It's like ice.
Yeah, I can agree. I've driven the oval layout around here quite a few times in the Lotus, and it is a little tricky. But we head to a track next time out that's going to be a little bit more back to normal. We go to Sebring. How do you think that'll fare?
Yeah, I like Sebring. Once you get to know where the bumps are, it's great. Yeah. And that first corner is awesome. You have to, point the car to like the concrete panels about 3 before the apex, and just hope that the car drifts out wide around it. But I mean, it's just, it's an amazing track. A little bit bumpy, but that's part of the nature of the track, I suppose. So yeah, it's not too bad in these cars. I mean, there's a lot more grip than on this track. Yeah.
Well, we're looking forward to seeing it, and we're looking forward to see what you can do. Barry, anybody you want to thank for this 11th place run today?
No, I just thank the Lord for letting me see the finish line.
Well, fantastic. That was Barry West, your 11th place finisher here today. Joe?
That's going to close out our interviews. A big thank you to the Lotus 79 community for bringing us back for another season of coverage here. And also, we want to thank the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast listed on your screen. Additional thanks to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. Check out her Bandcamp for more great work. And thanks to the team today, DJ, Zach, and Dougie. You can find more info about GSRC at globalsimracingchannel.com or through our social media. Also, check out our merchandise store at simracingmerch.com/GSRC. We keep a link in the description below. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a moment. And the next race, as we mentioned, will be at Sebring on Sunday, November 28th at 11:30 a.m. Eastern. We also have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out. Mark them down on your calendar, including up next, the Absolute Beginners League goes to the Red Bull Ring. That'll be at 2 p.m. Eastern. Until next time, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.